Hello, Johnny. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Great, thanks. So, this has been a long process for sure. So, I'd like to start this way. How did you get involved with the project? How did it all evolve?
Well, I mean, it's just like you said. It's been a long process. Rocco's been he's been coming up with ideas like this for a while, and we've been doing things like this on and off for a couple of years while we've been out of school. And so he came up to me one day. He called me. He's like, "Hey, I have this idea." He's asked me to meet him somewhere. I met up with him. We hung out for a little bit, and he handed me the script, and it looked pretty interesting. And I felt like it was good for me to just do something a little bit different.
It's well known that Rocco has a lot of ideas, some of which may be really out there, others are more doable. What was it about this project that you felt, okay, I can be on board with this and this is doable?
Yeah, I like to compare his method to like a shotgun, where like if he comes up with a bunch of them and they're all out there, and not all of them hit, but then sometimes one of them will. And I don't know, something about this, it just seemed very, I guess, just like normal. Like a lot of the other things that he's come up with are very crazy. That's the best way I can put it. But this one seemed a lot more natural, not only just for me to like play as a character, but as the story as a whole. It just seemed, even though it is a little bit weird, it seemed a lot more in the realm of possibility, I guess, than maybe some of the other stuff.
You play Johnny in the film, so which brings me to the question, how, as an actor, how do you approach your craft? Do you have a particular approach at all?
Not entirely. I mean, I'm not the super experienced in acting in general, but I guess that was one of the reasons why I decided to take this, was because my character, even though it's a little bit different than myself, it is supposed to be kind of a portrayal of myself, so I thought it was a little bit easier to play someone that is supposed to be me. I don't have to act entirely different. I can just kind of be myself, be natural, and I felt like that was pretty easy to transition into.
So much of the character has a lot of crossover with who Jonathan Sape is as a person.
Yeah, I think there are definitely other differences. I'd like to think I'm not as much like of a jerk in real life as I portray a little bit in the script, but I think like besides that, a lot of the things that we do, and maybe like a lot of the mannerisms and the way that we speak, is very similar to how I speak and act in real life. So I guess I felt like that was probably one of the drawing points, and that made it pretty easy, just because I didn't have to act like someone else. I could just act like myself, and I thought that was enjoyable. I thought it was pretty easy to do.
Every day, every moment when you're filming and preparing is not always perfect. It can be really difficult sometimes. So what were maybe one or two challenges that stood out for you during this process, and how did you and your colleagues deal with that?
I mean, there was a lot. I mean, obviously just everyone's time constraints, just trying to get as much in a certain amount of time, or having to reschedule, do all these sorts of things, just because we're also busy with everything else that's going on in life. It's pretty hard to do that sometimes. And as well, just some of the things that in the movie that Rocco has made me do, like I'm throwing myself all up against the walls, covered in blood, and just like it definitely isn't a comfortable feeling.
You didn't hire stunt people to cover for you?
No, I'm doing my own stunts. And I definitely felt the after effects for a few days after a few of the scenes that we filmed. But besides that, I think all in all, it's been a pretty smooth process.
But the biggest things were kind of the logistics of getting everybody together.
Yeah, I mean, with school and work and everything else, it just seems like every time that there was some available time, it seemed like there was always something else going on, and it was just rescheduling, trying to make sure you can get everyone where they need to be at the same time, and that always wasn't exactly the easiest to do.
So what's your favorite scene in the film?
I mean, the scene where I Die is pretty cool. It's just getting thrown about in the truck, and I think like the lighting and the visual effects with a lot of like the smoke and just like the sound as well. I think it all just kind of like blends together and makes for a pretty cool watch, I think.
Great, good. So this is a horror film. So what scared you when you were a kid?
I mean, how much time do we got? I mean, I guess just like a darkness in general. I think maybe as well, like I'd go down to my basement or something, and I would always think that there's someone down there, so I'd just like run up the stairs and make sure like I shut the door, like turn the lights on, just so that like no monster or whatever could get me.
Right, right. Are there similar things that you find in movies that scare you as well, or is there one or two movies that really had an impact on you?
In terms of like jump scares, I don't think that scared me as much in movies. I think the things that really freaked me out were kind of like the psychological, like horror type stuff, just because to me that seemed like to play with my mind a lot more, and that's the whole point of those types of movies, is to kind of mess with your brain and make you think a little bit differently compared to, I guess, like sort of like the cheesy jump scare type stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that sometimes the greatest horror is the unseen than what the scene is, for sure. Well, thanks for joining me, Johnny. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for taking your time out of your day and being here with us. I appreciate it as well.
You bet.
Thank you.